Hello and welcome everyone to Teslanomics Live. I'm your host Ben Sullins, and this is the show where we break down the biggest Tesla news from the week that has passed. We do it live because, well, things change very quickly in the world of Tesla and Elon Musk. And so thank you for joining me. Also, thank you to everyone on Crowdcast that pre-registered. We will be doing a Q&A later after we cover all the news segments here, and there are a lot of fun ones to cover. And also, if you aren't able to stay for the whole show, no problem. We'll actually post the individual stories later in the week, so you can just get those digestible bits instead of sitting through the whole thing if you're rushed for time. So if you do want to get on that list to get in the Q&A after this, make sure to join our email list at teslanomics.co/join. Then on Mondays, I send out that invite. That way we can kind of have a more engaged discussion there after the fact. So that's first and foremost. Thank you for everyone for joining me for that, and stay tuned. First, I want to talk about a promo or a sponsor that is helping us out support the show with this episode here. This is Elite Finish, and what they have is some really cool services they offer for folks here in San Diego or in Southern California, in terms of any customizations you want to do in your car, but also things like the C Quartz Finest, which is the ceramic coating I just got in my car. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you've seen I've been posting a lot of videos and photos. Later this week, I'm going to be doing a full deep dive into what that is, how ceramic coating works, and whether or not it's worth it, and kind of what the different levels are. So stay tuned for that later in the week, this week. And these guys have a really cool product, whether or not you get the ceramic coating, called Washmist, which is easily the most green way to actually wash your car. I have a bottle of it here. I've been using it for a little bit, and these towels that they offer. And what they are is a waterless wash and quick detailer. And it's cool because it works on the glass and the interior. Like this one little bottle right here, I actually used, I don't know if you can see it, it was full from the beginning. And I used, about that much of it to wash my entire car, my Model 3, in about 10 minutes. So I'll be sharing all that stuff later in the week. You can learn more at teslanomics.co/washmist. They have a promo going on for this, some of these microfiber towels, which are crazy soft, and also don't have any hard edges. So it's just a smooth, absorbent towel all the way around, and a bottle of this stuff here, which is just about 1 ounce of the concentrate and the rest water. And this one bottle, I mean, geez, I don't know, this will probably last me, I don't know, half a year or something like that. So you can check out more. They have other packages and things there. And thank you, Elite Finish, for sponsoring the show. And of course, stay tuned to learn a lot more about the products and services related to that later in this week. All right, so without further ado, let's move on to the news here. And I don't know how to thank you guys for this. This is crazy. I assume a lot of you guys probably watching here saw this last week, where just kind of as a joke, I created a GoFundMe campaign to buy Elon a new couch, because the one that he showed in the CBS interview with Gayle King was pretty much not even a real couch to sleep on. I mean, I couldn't even imagine. I would just sleep on the floor, which I think he also said he was doing. He had a sleeping bag there and stuff. So it was just kind of a fun joke, but it took off and went crazy. The internet is an amazing thing, and there are a lot of people that love Elon and support what him and Tesla are doing. So this is pretty astounding. So this is the GoFundMe as of now. We've officially raised $7,614 from 592 people. A lot of that came very early on. And this thing kind of went viral. It kind of went nuts. So if I take a look, there's a lot of news here, a lot of things that covered this. I checked yesterday. There are literally 4 pages of stories from every news outlet out there about this campaign. Some people were kind of mocking it. Others were laughing about it. Yeah, because an absurd GoFundMe campaign. But the bottom line is we're going to do good with this money here. So I think it's a good thing. Now, one of the interesting things is that CBS themselves actually picked up the story, and I'll play that little clip for you here. The same group that actually published the first interview covered it as well, and so here's that clip from CBS this morning.
Business Insider reports the internet is aghast and maybe even agog at the couch Elon Musk sleeps on when he works late at Tesla. He showed us the couch during an interview last week at his Silicon Valley Model 3 car factory.
Last time I was here, I actually slept literally on the floor because the couch was too narrow.
Yeah, I was going to say. And Elon, I have to say, it's not even a comfortable couch either.
No, it's terrible. This is not a good couch.
What does the number say?
After seeing that report, a California man was moved to start a GoFundMe page called Buy Elon Musk a Couch. In one day, the campaign raised more than $5,000, exceeding its goal.
So yeah, I don't know what he was trying to say in the beginning, Agahst or agahg. I don't know what the hell that is, okay? And I don't know why this struck me, but being called a California man made me feel odd for some reason. I guess I just never thought of myself in those terms. So there you go. I don't know what to say about this. There also was a story on BuzzFeed, which Julia Reinstein, sorry, Julia, and Tanya Chen actually interviewed some folks that donated and were asking them some questions about it. And you can see some of the comments here. You know, we need you to get good rest, sweet dreams, Elon. And so this is pretty cool. Obviously, this was a joke, and Elon Musk doesn't need money to buy a couch. He can, he owns the factory in which the floor that he's sleeping on. But in any event, we're going to do some good with this. So I have some updates. First off, they're accepting the couch. We are actually going to buy them a couch. And I am going to go hand deliver it to the Fremont factory. Elon may or may not be there. That would be a dream come true to meet him and just kind of contribute in whatever way I can. So that's real exciting. Stay tuned for any videos or anything I can share about that experience. Also, I've had a number of companies pitch in or offer to donate the couch. So that way, all the money can go to charity. So I'll be announcing who that is and what we're actually getting very soon. And if you are one of the people that donated to this campaign, stay tuned for an email from me asking for you to vote on which charity. So I mentioned in the GoFundMe that this money is just going to go to charity essentially. So what would happen then is anybody that actually donated will get an email with a link to vote on which one, and then so I'll be announcing that later on. So more to come on this story. I really enjoyed kind of all the stuff I saw out there. I've never had anything I've done go kind of as big and as far as this. So, in the end, it was just a joke, but it actually turned into something real. And so hopefully we can do some real good with this money. So stay tuned. Lots more to come on that down the road, including hopefully a meeting with Elon delivering the couch, which will be kind of cool. So there's that. All right, moving on to some more data-related stuff. There was an email from Elon that was leaked recently talking about their aim for producing 6,000 units per week in June. This is of the Model 3 to try to hit the 5,000 goal. Now, there's a couple things about this, and this is a pretty long email. I'll link to this article so you guys can go read it if you haven't read it already. There's some really cool stuff in here, just Elon's tone and kind of how he speaks to the employees. I think it's a strong but appreciative kind of leadership style, which I think is pretty nice. And so the only kind of criticism I have here is that if you're telling people that the goal is 6,000 per week in order to actually get 5,000 per week, you're kind of you shouldn't tell them that we're setting our heights super high so that way we can kind of because we know we won't hit it. I would say just set it high, and then that the outcome will be you won't hit it. But I think it was John Wooden, the old college basketball coach, that said something like that. Shoot for the stars and you'll land on the moon, kind of a thing. So anyways, this is exciting, and it got me thinking, well, let's consult the model here and see what these numbers add up. And I actually haven't done this, So this will be kind of a real, live reaction as to what's going on. So if you don't recall, a week ago or maybe two, I built this interactive Model 3 production ramp that you can go, if you go to Teslanomics.co, if you go to Teslanomics.co and then Tesla Model 3 ramp estimator, it'll take you to this page. You don't have to sign up or sign in or anything like that. You may get a pop-up to join the email list, and you can just say you can ignore that if you don't want to. So this is open to everybody. Now, I have already, the way this works is you have time one and value one, which are essentially the point in time and the amount of cars they were producing for that at that specific date. And then you have the second point, and then you have the peak. So if we're still assuming the peak is 10,000 cars, meaning that's as many cars as they can actually produce, the top of the S curve, using kind of the log growth model, we can punch in these new numbers. So if they're going to do this by the end of June, let me punch in that number. I'll just punch in July 1st. And then the number here, it'll refresh because it's been sitting here for a while. All right, let's try this again. 7/1/2018. And then we'll punch in 6,000 for the goal. I'll just drag this slider over until we're right about there. All right, let's go 5,955. Let's see how that works. So this is what that ramp would then look like. And this is using the log growth model. So I'm not just making this up. This is using actual math. And I have links to where I got the model from and how that all works. And you can just Google that if you're unclear about how log growth happens and stuff. And again, really the big question mark is the peak and whether or not they can actually achieve 10,000 per week on that one line at Fremont, or if there has to be a new factory or a new line, some additional thing that may take a year or two to build. But let's assume, so we're just playing with the numbers, kind of having fun here. So if they were able to achieve 6,000 or close to 6,000 by the end of June, then you're looking at 296,000 Model 3s produced in 2018 alone, and then you're up towards that over 500,000 Model 3s a year in 2019, and then kind of continuing on from there. It's not going to go up much more because you're at that peak. So if you look, this means that by, let's say, December 2nd, they would be at 9,000 Model 3s per week. They would end 2018 with 9,558 Model 3s being produced per week if these numbers hold out and if this model truly describes reality, which is what we've been told. But of course, these models are forecasts and kind of predictions, which are never 100% accurate. So I think this is fun. You can go check this out. I'm curious what you guys think. If you have speculation, you want to punch in some different numbers in there, feel free. Hit me up on Twitter. That's where I'm kind of the most engaged with folks, and I'd love to see what you guys come up with. So let me know what you think about that. In any event, no matter which way you slice this, they're going to have a pretty monster year in terms of production. So I think that overall is great. This also was alluded to when Elon said that they should be cash flow positive by Q3. And what that means is that in terms of operations, the amount of money that they're spending to buy or to make the cars is exceeded by the money they're getting for those cars. Prior to that, you're looking at the per unit economics of each car, which is fine, and that's usually a good place to start. And then as you expand, you have to add in overhead and all these other things. So if these numbers all shake out, and if Elon and these guys' predictions are relatively close, they're going to have a monster year, potentially be entirely profitable by the end of this year, going into next year, no longer needing to raise capital, and really now having some solid footing to shake up this industry. Because if you think about it, overall, Tesla is still a very small percentage of the overall automotive market. But when they hit profitability and they start producing 500,000 Model 3s alone in 2019, those are some serious numbers that I think a lot of other companies are going to start to pay attention to. So really, really good stuff. Hoping that these come out, or that these numbers come true. And I'd like to know what you think. Leave me a comment, and we'll chat about it. All right, next up, I have a story from one of my sponsors here. This is from Wunder Capital. Wunder Capital helps folks like you and me invest in commercial solar projects. And there's a great article here on Green Tech Media, which also, by the way, is a pretty good site to follow along with the green tech space. And they just recently closed their Series B funding for $112 million. Amazing job, guys. Congratulations to everyone at Wunder and what you're doing. I am so happy to be a partner of yours and to be a part of this journey, honestly. So the way it works, if you're unfamiliar, is you as an investor, if you're an accredited investor, can basically fund or join a fund through Wunder Capital to help small businesses go solar, because those projects typically, $500,000 to $1 million, and banks don't know really how to calculate the risk on them, so they don't offer them very, very attractive lending packages. That's where solar comes in, or that's where Wunder comes in to help fund those things. And as an investor, you essentially earn the interest on that back. So you can earn, I believe it's up to 7.5%. Pretty amazing stuff. Now for 2018, what Wunder's hoping to do is grow, and this is reading from some stuff they sent me, grow their small commercial financing business to 120 megawatts financed in 2018, which is triple of what they did in 2017. So this is literally helping small businesses and getting us, greener and less CO2 in the atmosphere. All around amazing stuff. They're also going to be launching more funds for retail investors, so they have different funds you can invest in. And also they're going to be financing more solar and storage projects and expand their financing beyond 19 states plus DC, which they're currently in. So it's not everywhere, but it is, in 19 states and DC, and it's expanding. If you want to be a part of it, you want to join, or learn more, you can do so at teslanomics.co/Wunder. So congratulations, guys. I think this is going to be an awesome journey. I can't wait to be a part of it with you and share this story, because a big part of why I continue to do this stuff on YouTube is because I believe that all of us together can really make a difference and help fight climate change. And so I was super excited to see this. And if you guys are wondering, we have some really cool projects lined up down the road. So stay tuned for that if you guys like that kind of thing. Okay, next I have a story which was on The Verge, and it was, I kind of really like this. It was really well written, and it was about Tesla versus Waymo, and basically the battle for self-driving. The title is How Tesla and Waymo Are Tackling a Major Problem for Self-Driving Cars. Guess what? Data. Yep, that's right. That's the answer, as we knew. And it's a really long article. I'll summarize a little bit of it here, and also, talk about kind of my thoughts overall. So, data, as I've said before, is kind of the answer here to self-driving cars, because a self-driving car is based on machine learning and neural networks and these kind of things, which are basically need data to do anything. Otherwise, they're kind of pointless. And this all goes back to ImageNet, which I think was a competition, or that was released in 2012 during a competition to help identify objects in pictures. So object recognition, one of the first problems or one of the things in computer vision. So in any event, I think this is great. From this article, a quote that I thought really was just kind of hit the nail on the head was that there's also a huge financial incentive to apply all this data-driven tech to the roads as quickly as possible. Intel believes autonomous vehicles could generate $800 billion per year in revenue in 2030 and $7 trillion per year by 2050. Last summer, Morgan Stanley analyst Adam Jonas, who you guys may know, said in a note that data might be more valuable to Tesla than something like the Model 3. That is my point exactly. That is exactly what my video I did a couple weeks ago titled Autopilot Should Be Free was arguing, that the data itself that Tesla collects is going to be more valuable than any of these other assets, because once they're able to really hit level 4 and level 5 autonomy and do things like the Tesla network, then that may even be their biggest revenue stream going forward from then on. Now, Tesla is already collecting data from its cars. That is true. There's something known as shadow mode, and even just recently the latest update to the Model 3 talked about this. But the thing that is crazy to me is that the data isn't as valuable if somebody's not actually using autopilot. Now, I've worked in this industry for a long time, not in self-driving, but in data. And the deal is that you want as much real world behavioral data as possible. Qualitative data like, hey, how was it? That's somewhat useful, but the real world data of like what somebody actually did, how a system actually performed, those things are those are the most valuable types of data that you can acquire. So if you want to absolutely maximize the value of the data and acquire as much of it as possible, my suggestion to Tesla is to make autopilot free. And I went into it deeply in a video there. Now, the interesting thing about that about this article was that it painted kind of how Waymo is doing it differently. And Waymo has a far smaller fleet, only 500 to 600 self-driving minivans, compared to Tesla's over 300,000 vehicles. And what they're doing is using computer simulation to generate the miles driven. So, they'll say they have X number billion miles driven, this and that. But again, I think this totally works. It's a valid strategy, but I don't believe it's as accurate or as valuable as real world data. Now, also, Waymo has a lot more sensors on their vehicles. They have LiDAR and all these other kind of things. And there's all this tech that's coming in. So this is a really kind of nascent industry right now. Data, as The Verge kind of made the point here, is the most valuable thing and is the path forward because of the foundational technology or technique is machine learning, which without data isn't much. So this made me think of a new quote, one we've used in the data industry for a long time now. We say that data is the new oil. I want to add to that by saying data is the new oil, except more valuable. As you can see, data powers almost every smart or AI type system that exists today, and it's just going to get more and more important and more valuable. So with that, I would love to know what you guys think about this. This is a really well-read article. It's a bit long, as I mentioned. I'll put a link to it down in the description. So far, we've just been covering the news. Now I'm going to go over to Q&A on Crowdcast. Thank you, everyone, for joining me on YouTube. Again, if you want to be a part of this conversation, you can do so by getting on our email list at teslanomics.co/join. It doesn't cost you a thing, and you can unsubscribe anytime you want to. So don't worry about it. It's just one of those things that I want to engage with the folks that are actually trying to be a part of the community. And on YouTube, unfortunately, a large percentage of the folks aren't really that interested. They just kind of come by. So I want to have a more concentrated version of this conversation there. So that's why I do that. All right. Well, thanks for joining me, everyone, on YouTube.